In Korean culture, when a person dies, his old soul dies for 49 days and is judged in the 7 hells. If he is declared innocent, he is granted the right to reincarnate. Kim Nam-ho is a soul fireman who has just died doing his great work, but he does not realize it until he sees his body lying on the floor and some emissaries go to look for him. They tell him that because he died saving the life of a girl, he had an honorable death and is now considered a paradigm, that is to say, an exemplary soul, but he does not seem to care much. All he thinks is that he cannot leave his mother alone, but the dead cannot wander the world of the living. So he is taken to the afterlife, but as soon as they cross the gate, they arrive in the murderer's hell, which means that it is the least of his sins, since the journey of hell is made from the greatest to the worst of his sins. He is very confused because he had never murdered anyone, but the captain tells him that if his actions indirectly caused the death of someone, he must still be judged. During the trial, the judge was the god of death, and the guardians are his lawyers. It turns out that long ago, Nam-ho had left his friend abandoned in a fire, and because of this, he lost his life. That is why the prosecution wants to let him burn for at least 5 years, but the guardians revealed the truth. He never left him abandoned, but there was another person who needed help, and according to the rules of the firefighters, civilians have priority, and thanks to that, they managed to save 8 other lives, so he was considered a hero. The guards say that it would be a mistake to send him to hell when his work has saved so many lives. Upon hearing this, the judge declares him innocent because although 1 life was lost, 8 others were saved. So now he must go to the next hell, but Nam-ho does not seem to be very motivated. On the contrary, he is a little rough because he knows that no one does anything for free in this life. The guards confess that if they help him, they can choose where and how to reincarnate. The next hell is of the indolence in him. They punish the apathy, the laziness, and any lack of respect towards the life, and as he was a very hard-working man with a great spirit to the tourists, they supposed that there was not even a charge against him. The goddess of the indolence was very moved and wanted to let him leave immediately, but before she asked him what motivated him to risk his life for the good of others, Nam-ho answered that his main motivation was money. This made the goddess upset, and she wanted to punish him for being greedy, but it turned out that it was not true at all, because although he worked for money, he had a more important reason. He had to pay for his mother's medicines and his younger brother's school. That's why he had several jobs, and the only time he could rest was the day of his death. This moved the goddess, and she declared him innocent. Now they must go to the hell of deceit. There he will be judged for all the lies he told throughout his life. The captain was upset and tells him that before speaking, he should ask him so he won't make any more mistakes. But Nam-ho doesn't seem to care until Woomlee says that if he manages to be declared innocent, he will be able to see his mother one last time and say goodbye to her. This makes him have a new purpose, and he wants to fight again, but on their journey they are attacked by evil spirits, signaling that some member of his family has just passed away and is wandering the mortal world, and since he only had his mother and younger brother, he thinks that one of them has just passed away with resentment, and that causes the time in the afterlife to pass faster, so the 49 days are now much less. Because of this, the captain decides to go to the mortal world to stop the evil spirit before it harms the reincarnation of Nam-ho. It turns out that his younger brother had passed away, and apparently he was very upset because his older brother left his mother alone, and he could not take care of her because he had to finish his military service. While the captain was investigating, arrives the mother of Nam-ho and decides to pretend to be a person who saved her son during his life. This makes the lady is moved and leaves him to say goodbye. As tradition dictates, it is then that we see the evil spirit Soo-ho, the brother of Nam-ho. When he sees the captain, flees quickly, and the captain was not fast enough to catch him. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, Nam-ho had taken off his blindfolds and the evil spirits begin to stalk them. But before they attack them, the god of the afterlife arrives and asks what all this commotion is about. Woom says that it is due to a relative of Nam-ho who is wandering the earth and is causing chaos. But the captain has already gone to take care of him. It turns out that to do that, they had to destroy his soul. Nam-ho does not want that to happen and tries to reveal himself. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, the captain investigates why Soo-ho died, but apparently nobody knew he was dead, but that he had deserted and they were still looking for him. Soo-ho followed his brother's example and was a good person with his cadets. He always treated them well and encouraged them to move forward. In the meantime, at the trial of the lies, Nam-ho had written several letters to the daughter of his comrade who had died pretending to be him, and he also had several letters pretending to be other people, totaling 98. To all this, he replied that he did it because he did not want to see see the relatives of the deceased cry, and those letters were the least he could do to cheer them up, even if they were a hoax. At the same time, on the ground, the captain pretends to be a colonel who had gone to investigate the disappearance of Suho. The lieutenant was scared and tells him that he knows nothing. Maybe the soldier has escaped because recently his brother had died, but obviously it was a lie. Meanwhile, at the trial, it turns out that the girl knew the truth, and thanks to the letter from Nam Ho, she waited whole nights for her father to return, although that was impossible. Because of this, the goddess wants to cut out his tongue because he was a vile liar, but the captain had some up his sleeve. Many of the letters he had written were for his mother, where he lied, telling her that he had a happy family, this so that she would not give up and could recover her health, because if his mother had found out that her son worked tirelessly to pay for his medicines, she probably would have preferred to die. The goddess agrees with that, but asks what happened to the girl. The captain answers that thanks to the letters she was able to move on with her life because now she communicates with her father through the letters. This helped her to overcome him and to feel in contact with him. Because of that, Nam Ho is declared innocent and they must go to the next hell. On the way, they ask him why he wants to see his mother in such a hurry. If in 15 years he didn't talk to her, he answers that he wants to give her an electric pot so that his mother can prepare rice. Also inside it was his last letter where he confessed the whole truth. At that time, the captain appears and tells Nam Ho that his mother and brother are fine, that he doesn't have to worry about them and to go ahead with his trial, but it was all a lie. Now they reveal what really happened with Suho. His cadet was very worried about the temple he was keeping, even though his brother had passed away, but Suho tells him that his older brother always said, if you are going to cry, do it just once. Cry until your eyes swell up and move on. After that, the tragedy occurs. The cadet shoots him by mistake and the shot seems fatal. With his last breath, Sujo orders him to call the lieutenant so he will take care of everything and that he will not go to prison. When the lieutenant arrives, he tries to revive him, but it was too late. Suho does not respond, or that is what he thought, because then he starts to move his hand. That means that they had buried him while he was still alive, and the lieutenant realized at the end and still continued with his plan. In the afterlife, Nam Ho should go to the hell of injustices, and as it was a paradigm, there were no problems in that. In this hell, those who committed some act of injustice, like refusing to help someone, are frozen for 100 or 1,000 years. The punishment is going to depend on how much you hide the truth. Since in the afterlife, everything is revealed and lies never succeed, then the secretary Yu tells Nam Ho that she would like to have memories since that makes you who you are, and when you are a guardian, they erase your mind, so in theory, they are no longer who they were before. Now they are completely different people. The guardian, tired of hearing so much cheesiness, tells him that his brother had died, and now is an evil spirit that roams the earth. Because of this, the afterlife begins to crumble, and the ship that transported them almost falls. Thank goodness, Nam Ho manages to save the Secretary Yu. After that, the captain had found the body and the guardian wanted to incinerate it, but the captain wants to give him a funeral before. After a brief fight, he tells him that he will take care of it and that he should rather concentrate on protecting Nam Ho. The next hell was the one of betrayal. Here the goddess was very strict and only forgave those who had committed a pious betrayal, and as he was a paradigm, they expected her to declare him innocent and go on his way. Meanwhile, in the world of mortals, the cadet was very mortified because Su-ho was tormenting him. Because of this, the lieutenant gives him 3 days off so he can relax and return in yes. But the spirit of the soldier wanted to kill him. Luckily, the captain was nearby and did not allow it. In the end, he manages to capture him and asks him to abandon his revenge. He promises him that he will be his guardian so that he can reincarnate, but his resentment was too big and he did not want to stop until he got his revenge. This rage and resentment make him become even more powerful. Now we see how the cadet wanted to tell the truth, but the lieutenant did not agree because he would probably be demoted and sent to prison for having covered up. Because of this, the captain wanted to eliminate him, but Nam Ho begs him to save him in return. He will be obedient, so the captain decides to try once again, and it turns out that the cadet had gone to the soldier's house to deliver a map to his mother. In it, he pointed out where his body was buried. Then he wants to take his own life, but Su-ho appears and asks the captain to save him. In exchange, he will surrender and stop running away. That is how he manages to save him, and before leaving, he asks him to transmit a message. He tells him that he can be at peace because he knows that he did not do it on purpose. So he asks him to continue with his life and gives him the same advice that his brother gave him, to cry just once until his eyes swell up and move on. The next hell is that of violence. To get there, they must jump into the void and the deep. It depends on how many crimes he has. So being a paradigm, it should be little, but apparently there was a victim of violence in the history of Nam Ho. It turns out he had beaten his younger brother when they were children, but it was not a common fight, but his brother was malnourished and still beat him savagely. Because of this, the brothers did not speak to each other again in more than 15 years, so they never forgave each other. The god of violence doesn't want to hear anymore and wants to sentence him immediately because a crime without forgiveness deserves to be punished, but the captain appears and orders them to ask for a double trial so that Nam Ho and his brother can forgive each other or be punished severely. Before the trial, Su Ho tells us why he had beaten him. It turns out that Nam Ho wanted to end the life of his mother because she was a burden for them, and because of that his younger brother was malnourished. But it turns out that he not only wanted to end his mother's life, but that of his whole family, because he could not stand the situation anymore and wanted to end it all. So he ran away from home and started working like crazy to change the lives of his mother and brother. Maybe this way he could mend his mistake. That's why he did not return home in these 15 years, because he could not see them in the face. Now we see how his mother arrives at the army barracks to demand justice for her son, but the lieutenant, instead of sympathizing with the lady, throws her out. This makes Su Ho upset, and he loses control again and immediately attracts the evil spirits with his brother. His anger was so great that he opens a portal to the afterlife. This causes a disaster in the mortal world and causes the sand to swallow his brother. The captain tells him that if he does not stop, his brother's soul will be lost forever, and just like 15 years ago, he will never be able to see him again. When he stops, it seems that it is too late because the king of the afterlife had arrived and declares Nam Ho guilty because unforgiven sins deserve to be punished. The secretary Yu begs him to listen to him and tells him that his mother was asleep and never knew the truth. Therefore, Nam Ho had not committed a sin, but the king shows him that she was awake and that she accepted her son's decision because she felt that he was really a burden to them. This makes Nam Ho give up and accept his punishment, but he wants to be allowed to see his mother one last time, to see if she will forgive him. The king refuses, and when he was about to condemn him, Su Ho enters his mother's dream, and in his dreams tells her that at last he did achieve his greatest dream and became an important judge. She is very happy for him, but her happiness turns to sadness because her son had gone to say goodbye. But before leaving, she asks him about the night Nam Ho tried to commit that crime. She for the first time in her life speaks since she had been born mute, and her children for the first time hear the voice of their mother. She tells them that her children did not make any mistake. The only one responsible is her. And also tells them that she is very proud that they have become good people. Because of this, the King of the Beyond decides to grant a heavenly pardon to Nam Ho, and being a paradigm will have an immediate reincarnation, so now she can finally say goodbye to her mother. The captain and the guardians had managed to win the 48th trial, and now they only have to reincarnate one more soul so that they can also reincarnate. The next soul to be reincarnated is Su Ho, the spirit number 49, who also happens to be a paradigm. But before the end, we see how the captain had returned to break the rules and takes the electric pot that Nam Ho had bought for his mother, and in it was the last letter he had written where he confessed the whole truth. Thank you very much for watching the video until the end. If you liked the summary, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next story.